Welcome back, everybody, to Gringos Liberados. My name is Trajan. I'm joined by 4i4. I'm joined by RMC. We have just completed the cross-group battles. I think that's what they're called. I feel like I called them 8 different things throughout the streams and podcasts, but the cross-group battles have been completed.
That's okay.
We have our playoffs teams. We have said goodbye to 2 of them, and we are now ready to move on with some best of 5s, continuing with the Fearless. 4i4, you're already rubbing your hands in full sort of villainous goblin mode at the mere thought of Fearless best of 5s. How are you feeling today? Seems like you're feeling good.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, it's I think it's I woke up a little later than I wanted to, and I was a little late for the podcast recording today, which will surprise these two not at all, and which might surprise none of you at all, to be fair. But the caffeine is really hitting right now. But I am excited about best of 5s. I think that's been the whole the whole thing we've been sold, the whole gimmick we've been sold. Shout out to Lunar Day. For Fearless, right? But I am excited because I think, there are a couple teams that I think all of us have our eyes on of, okay, once actual Fearless BO5 rolls around, what in God's green earth is going to happen to a couple of these teams? Yep. Cough, cough loud, cough, cough red. But it should be, it should be a lot of fun no matter what.
I don't know. I feel like Red has stuff in their pocket. I'm still waiting for the Scion.
Yeah, it really was more cough, cough loud, but because actually Red, I trust Red to pull out some crazy stuff. Yeah. Will it work?
Yeah,
I like it has really high disaster potential.
Red has the Ivor in mid if they want to go that way, but I'm not sure it will win them the game yet. At this
Come on,
point.
give me Ivor and Kindred. Come on,
dude.
God, that was crazy.
They have
mid, let's go.
Sense. Please bring it up. We need something, man. Right, let's go back through the cross group battles. First, we had our first seed matchup, some quality league. Pain Gaming versus Furia. Pain taking the 2-1 victory over Furia, but it was a very fun series. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very privileged to cast it, to be honest. It was very, very good. And it did, I think, my main takeaway from it is this series should have been close. It was. These teams should look the best, and they do. So, very happy with that. But RMC, I don't remember, because I definitely took Furia 2-1. Were you on the Pain 2-1? Were you still faithful last time?
I was in Pain. Yeah. I was in Pain. I think I said 2-1. I can't remember if I said 2-1.
But you were pretty match about Pain's approach to League of Legends as of last week. Having seen this series, do you think you saw anything to soften the blow a little bit? I mean, the victory is always nice, but you think we've actually remembered some macro, perhaps? Or were they just better with hands on the day?
No. I mean, on one hand, I'm really happy because if Pain can beat Fury like this, they are, to me, undisputedly the best team in the region.
Hands also be
right?
godlike.
Like they're not like the problem with their macro is it's not terrible. Like they're not feeding, they're not inting, but they are giving a lot of freebies. And if you can win with the handicap of giving freebies, if you just wake up and fix your macro, which isn't hard by the way, like literally just guys, remember to set up. It's like a 1 minute thing. Like Zero just needs like one sentence, like macro, like just one word, and they wake up. Like, yeah, they should dominate this region undoubtedly, which is really good. It's potentially, but my fear is that if Furia can't push them to fix their macro, they're not going to fix their macro, and then MSI is going to be just me very depressed in the corner.
I mean, that might happen no matter what, dude.
I mean, let's be honest.
True.
It's odds on it's going to happen. But watching the gold graph in the first game especially, and to be honest, I think all of the games at some stage, right, is like Pain lead. It's like it goes up, Pain lead goes up, and then it falls off a cliff. And then they build up a lead, and it falls off a cliff because they've played well for 5 minutes, and then they get caught, and they throw it all away. And they play well 5 minutes, and they get caught, and they throw it all away.
Well, to be fair, though, I do think a lot of that is on Furia as well. Furia never say die, and they are one of the teams where I just feel like they're just going to keep going. Like them and Red, you can never quite count them out. They'll look for that sucker punch. They never give up. And because of that, I think that's why it was kind of that sort of spiky. Like every time an objective shows up, Pain's gold goes up. During the downtime, the 5 minutes in between, that's when Furia start clawing their way back in with good picks, good plays, good setup.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think for Furia as well, the interesting question here is because they were ill last week and they played pretty bad and they lost. They were not ill this week, ostensibly, and they did play better. But how do we feel, I guess, about them coming into this Pain series? Because ultimately, there were times where they looked better than Pain, just at hands and the game during the group stage. So 4i4, from this now from Furia, are we actually just gonna we're gonna give them a nice comfortable second? Do we think again it's just like they lost on the day, but we could still consider them as like better, as good? Like what is your feeling on Furia now, given the last couple of weeks of very mixed performance?
Well, first, is my camera okay, my camera seems to have pooped itself, but my audio's still there. That's okay.
So good.
No, I mean, they could beat Pain, but I don't like. There's too much body of work of Pain over Furia to say that Furia are the better team. Like they're just not, right. Like it's sort of like you said. There's that cliche of, you know, what makes a good, right, part of a really good team is winning when you're not at your best, right? And that was what I was reminded of when RMC was talking about Pain, right? Okay, maybe they weren't at their best, and Furia, they might have the, you know, the more solid quote unquote macro, right? But they can be a little bit slow to kind of, you know, be proactive. They're very good at being reactive, I think, right? Is when you get something, they get something else on the map. And it's not to say, and again, I'm just kind of picking holes in Furia's game because Furia, they're really, really strong, but I think the like, even if Furia have more consistently good macro than Pain, Pain's hands are far better. And they've been playing with this roster together a lot longer as well, right? So actually, no, lies. Dinketo is just not, yeah. Yeah, okay, so that kind of goes out the window. But, I mean, they had one change, right? And Furia, exactly, this is basically a new project, right? And with a new coaching staff. Whereas Pain, they've got better, you know, more infrastructure. You know, they play a similar style of game still with Roamer, right? Even with Roamer, okay, it adds like a little bit of an extra wrinkle, but you don't see them kind of defaulting to it quite as much, right? Because I mean, even with Dinketo, right? For every, you know, it's like, oh, Roamer finally had a hard carry game. Dinketo had hard carry games when he was, you know, Pain's mid as well, right? You know, it was on boring champs like, you know, your Azirs and your Aris, but yeah, exactly. But like, you know, Roamer is a maybe a more souped up, higher ceiling version of Dinketo, right? But Pain's identity is still the same, and they've done too much good work with this style and with this roster for me to say, and even directly over Furia, right? But Furia, they give them a game, right? They push them. I can't wait to see. Well, I hope that this is the final because this needs to be. Hell, I hope we see this twice, right? I hope we see this in the upper bracket best of 5.
Yeah,
so we get bounced down, and then we see a grand final best of 5 because we could literally get 10 games of this, and it would be awesome.
Yeah, that we'd all come away feeling good about LTA South. I think watching that, I think that would make us feel very happy. One of the other things about this series that I felt, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, is I felt like this was kind of a bad series for IU. I don't think IU had a good day. I think that in the last game especially, he got kind of trounced. And Titan and Curry specifically, I think in lane performed way better against IU and Jojo. I thought IU and Jojo would honestly be able to put up more of a fight than they did. Even the second game that Furia won, like, I don't think the lane was good. I don't think IU necessarily was playing amazingly. I think he ended up playing Ezreal in a winning game and picked up some kills and some money. But I thought, I honestly was a little sad that we didn't get to, that we saw IU, I think, get a little bit put in his place by Titan today, or on the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough into Titan, right?
It's always got to be tough into Titan. Yeah, we could concede this.
Yeah, and it's especially, you know, I mean, in lane, I think I'm kind of, you know, scrubbing through to see how bad maybe something like the CS discrepancy was, because that's the one thing you're kind of looking for, right? Zaya, not the strongest laner, right? You got a little bit of range with your Q, but like, you know, I'm looking, okay, Ezreal Bard. It's not like he got clobbered in lane, right? I'm just kind of scrubbing through to see how bad the CS discrepancy got. He was always up by like 10. And then in the mid game, you stopped kind of paying attention to that, right? The gap stayed there. Yeah, I mean, it was the Tatu show. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, but I don't know. I feel like that's always been kind of. I mean, I don't feel like this split IU's been like, oh my goodness, right? It has been the Tatu show. It has been Tuts. It has been Gigo. Like, IU has been a good kind of supporting AD carry. I think he's got that in him, but I don't know if we've ever had to have the IU game. I don't know. That's an interesting question.
We haven't had the like flash aggressively in Varus games that we used to see when maybe he was on like a team with less options and he was like, I'm gonna go in and hero carry. But I don't know if I'd say he's had like a supportive or underwhelming split necessarily. I think Tuts, the discrepancy between last split and this split is very positive and noticeable, which helps that. Tatu is obviously exceptional, and Gigo, I think, because he's always coming back from like 0-4 down, these comebacks always seem amazing. And he is doing a lot of massive, like, really good work in late game team fights and late game plays. But I think that IO has just been like 8 or 9 out of 10, like every single game. and yeah, maybe hasn't needed to be as important. It's a meta where there's more Jhin and more Ezreal and more MF, you know, like there's just less sort of, there's a bit less of Kalista and Draven and Varus. Well, there's still Varus, but
I think he had one of the best MF games this split, along with Titan. Like there was an MF game where like he had 0 setup from his team, and yet he was still nailing like both time to both time. Like IU is really good. It's just like, I think it goes back to the first thing Poivor said, which is just you're up against Titan Curry.
Yeah.
Right. Like they are the best lane in LTA South, bot lane in LTA South. So it's not surprising to me that IU and JoJo kind of got stifled quite a bit. And unfortunately, as you kind of mentioned too, they do like to play for Gigo, which I think is actually kind of a handicap that Fury has to play through right now, because you need to gank Gigo. If not, Gigo will go Gigon against a lot of these top laners if they get jungle pressure. So Tatu's not looking to help the bot lane. He's looking to help the top lane. And in this series in particular, I think I said it on broadcast, we didn't get Gigod. We didn't get Gigon. We just got Gigo. Like he was
we got
average
Gi
as all hell.
We got Gi good.
Yeah, he was he was just average as all hell to me this series. Like for the resources he got, kind of not worth, but also like, hey, he's not Gigon at least, which is, I guess, a net positive, which I think says a lot about sort of the way Gigo has been playing this one.
Well, we knew how the way he played was kind of indicative here, because he like opens up the series by trying to flash outplay Weiser at level 3 and dying. And just mucks it up. He just mucks the play up. He doesn't calculate it right and loses and dies. And you're like, okay, man, like we did not see Korean Killer Gigo. He just didn't have the juice today. Weiser had a really good series. Weiser is just still putting up absolute godlike games day in, day out. Like, you know, the Gwen game from the first one when he just completely deals with Gigo going crazy in his face. The Ambessa outplay that we all say that got clipped on Reddit. Like that stuff was crazy, man. And Weiser had a great day. So I think, maybe I hoped for more from IU and JoJo in lane against Titan and Curry. We didn't get it, which I guess is disappointing, but not necessarily surprising. And yeah, so I guess we'll see about that. Like I thought his Jhin play in game 1 that they lost was still really good. Like I don't think he played it badly. He's playing Jhin, right? Like, and I think his positioning was as good as it could be against Azir, Nefiri, Kalista,
Karioga had a hard on for him that series.
Dude,
that game, sorry. He was diving over and over.
Every single fight, right? Yeah. Like, and that's tough. It's hard to play as Jhin. I've been there, right? And like JoJo has maybe other work to do to set up for the carries who don't have a lot of CC themselves, right? It's a tough one for him to play. So I think he didn't have a bad series, but I was hoping for a little bit more, but that would have been like maybe slightly wishful thinking, I guess, as it turns out. So does anyone else have anything else for Pain Fury? Because ultimately, they took the 2-1. Pain looked like the better team, just in terms of kind of individual quality across the board, I think, is maybe fair to say. Even Tattoo Skarner couldn't get it done. A loss in game 3. Disaster.
Yeah.
Should give it to JoJo.
Yeah. Titan.
True.
Yeah. Titan pull out another MF game in game 3 as well, to our dismay on the cast, but then he went 8-1 and 8 and fucking bodied everybody. So like, how mad can we really be at this point?
And I want to clarify too, I walked off the screen not because it was a bad pick. Like they set up really well. I'm just really sick of seeing these blind MFs coming out of nowhere. Like Fury should have punished it way harder than they did.
Yeah, the Zeri wasn't it that day. Still, Zeri maintains a Brunsey property and no one else's.
Yep.
I used to be a guy who we could give this champion to, but no, he's going on the naughty list. No Zeri for you. It's only Brunsey.
Yeah, bring back Cello. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and Cello. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard it was a spicy day in CD yesterday.
CD's been cooking yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say spicy, but it was a day.
Kaboom IDL in the lower bracket, right?
Yeah.
After yesterday, yes.
We got kind of blown out by Red.
Yep.
Mago and Doom, they took the demotion personally, man.
Well, it's not
Dude,
Mago.
Mago's not playing there.
Mago's
not in?
demoted off the face of the earth. It's Kaze now.
Yeah, dude, Kaze looking better than Doom or better than Mago or Greftar, actually. Kaze's posting numbers, man.
What happened to Mago? Really.
Oh my goodness! Imagine like forcing Mago through into tier 1, and then finally giving up on him, and then he completely goes.
I don't want to play with you anymore. Just whoosh. Holy moly!
Isn't that the Red special? They did that with Nelson. They did that with Envy.
That was
the
Nelson was never. Nelson was never gonna work.
I'm still sad they did it with Envy, man. Right. Anyway, let's stay focused here. Next match that day was the elimination match, IE versus Fluxu W7M. Sadly, we do have to say goodbye to Fluxu W7M. Once again, from week 1, split 1, expected. But at this point now, I think it's fair to say it's a little sad. Whereas before, it would have been like, thank goodness they're off the screen and we don't have to watch them just get bullied like this anymore. But now it's like, man, they were giving us some good stuff. They got the Furious Series win. They took some good game steals. They're actually showing us some improvement from week to week. Sadly, it was not enough, as IE have also been on the road to redemption. And 2-0'd them without too much trouble. It was not a stomp, but it was pretty conclusive from start to finish, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very slow crushing under the heel.
Yeah, it was a measured, the sort of those hydraulic press YouTube videos.
The slow-mo versions, yeah. Exactly, right? But look, okay, let's start Fluxu W7M, because I think Fu did the exit interview after and saying that, hey guys, like, we know we lost, we're out, but like, he wanted people to remember them, that they were improving week after week. And I think that's very valid. I think that's something we've said here on GL as well.
For sure.
That we're seeing improvement week after week. You'd love to see it. And I hope the players come back, with the exception, like, okay, this is going to sound really, really bad. So please take it in the right...
Who's not?
Yeah, please put this in the right setting. I would like to see all of them come back, except for maybe Ganks. Like, I do think Hidan, Fu, Marvin, Giggs have a lot of potential. Ganks feels like he's been capped to me. That's why I'm saying this. I don't think Ganks is bad. Well, no, I do think he's bad for this year. So the problem is that if he's capped and he's just not there, then maybe swap out the jungler. But everybody else, I do think they deserve to be in tier 1. They do deserve time to grow. But give them a proper infrastructure and coaching staff, man. Like, Fluxu W7F's structure was not it.
I agree. Fluxu W7F structure was not it. I don't know how much credit I'd like to extend to Geeks anymore.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know if I saw Geeks have like a really good game ever this year. Like, I can't think of one, man. At least Ganks had that Nefiri game, and that I'm like, we had the one game. That's it. To be fair, that's the one. But I can't bring a single one to mind for Geeks, I'm afraid, and I just don't know if I'm willing to go to bat for him at this point. Unfortunately.
But for is there a player you'd like to get cancelled over in Fluxu?
Who would you like to cancel for Fluxu?
I mean, realistically, at this point, you are at the bottom of the barrel. I think it's a stupid idea to make a change for Split 3. Because again, you have a guaranteed spot. I think if you are in this deep, you should just see it out. If you're going to make a change, wait for the offseason. That is legitimately how I feel. Because like it's not going to get like that much. But like, and again, we are seeing improvements, right? Kind of day by day. And I actually think Ganks has been a big catalyst of that. He had 100% KP until kind of game 3, until like the third, like the late game of game 2, right, on the Wukong. I think he's been fine. I think
he's been like.
I think they're struggling to find a consistent identity. I think they're messing around too much with Fu on Galio and just the horse crap of not giving Fu a champion to do damage on.
I'm sorry, hold up. Ganks had the lowest KP in game 1 against this Celestial, and in the second game.
Game two on Wukong. Sorry, if I said game 1.
He had 100% KP when they had 4 kills.
The other team had 7. It's not like it was 20-4. Right? There wasn't a lot of action.
4.
Okay, but it was 7-4 until the one. Okay, you know, I got the team fight, the winning.
Okay,
no,
7-4.
But it was a 4,000 gold lead it was a 3,000 gold lead until the 30-minute mark, right? So okay, like so, was, like it's like that's how the game was played, and then then there's a 5-0 ace or whatever, right? There's a big team fight.
That's a bigger indictment. You had Galio, Wukong, Misfortune, Rakan. You have a team fight composition, and you don't fight for 35 minutes. Like, okay, sure, you can put that on Geeks as well, but like,
yeah, but I was gonna say, like, we don't know who necessarily that blade goes to, right? And that could be just you could put that on Fu.
RMC has no room
for all we know. Right? If he's the quote unquote veteran, right? That's on this roster, right? And we criticize like, oh, they're putting a lot on Fu. They're making him do the exit interviews here. I bet he's the primary shot caller on this team. Which, if that's true, that is criminal. You should not be giving Fu the shot calling duties. You should put a veteran with him. You should have put, dare I say it, Shitty on this team.
They couldn't get Shitty. They tried, and Shitty said no.
No, I know. That was the original plan way back when it was still just Fluxu, right?
Yeah.
But Now I don't know, man. But again, it's like all the stats to say like, oh, like it was, it was 14 to 4. It's like
yeah,
that was the end of it, right? For the vast majority of the game, right? I'm talking purely. Look, he was there and made things happen in the early game. We need to look. No one on this team is a good player except for Fu. Let's just get it right out there.
Oh, I think there's a case to be made for Hidan this split. I think Hidan stepped up a lot this split.
Okay, fine. Great.
He's done all right.
He's
the second most experienced player, or maybe even most experienced.
Exactly.
Player, depending on how he splits through.
Well, you're right. Actually, he is the most, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I'm being unfair to Hidan because of infrastructure, and like for all we know, if Hidan and Bull switch spots, right, then we'd be dunking on Bull, and Hidan would be like, man, Hidan on carries. That was it the whole time. Why didn't we just give him Yorick? Like maybe.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But I don't know. I think stick with this roster for one more split, because like you are seeing progress made little by little. And stop giving Fu Galio.
I mean, I
guess,
guess,
Lord on high. Yes. There are so many players. Like I'm always the worst player on my Clash team. They put me on tank and spank supports and junglers because that is where I belong, and that's fair. Do not put Fu on Galio. Do not make him play the tank and spank junglers. Yeah. Put ganks on Amumu. Hell, you could put him on the Fury. We saw that, right? Yeah. And then give Geeks like Leona Nautilus. I don't care, right? Give him Leona. This is the easiest goddamn champion in the game to play. That's why I am playing it all the time on my Clash teams. Because I'm worthless on any other role. But I can spot a decent engage, and if everyone goes in behind me, we're going to be okay.
To this Fluxy thing, like, just stick it out to the end of summer, I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Like, the only actual thing you could change is elevate. No one is going to be imported onto this team. There's no money behind this project right now, right? Like, it's going to take until next year until they work out if they even have, like, a different budget to this. This is clearly, like, a budget solution. The only thing you can realistically do is find an exciting tier 2 player to elevate, to try and improve it in one split, right? Is there any tier 2 player that we think would actually change this roster to elevate it below last place? Maybe
Yampy
above.
Straight up, you want a veteran jungler? Okay, Yampy just had the worst split in his life and just got relegated out of CD. He's free.
He's not busy. He's playing the worst league he's ever played. He's free. He could make the better. So potentially, like, Ganks and Geeks are the two people that RMC and I have come after. Yampy is a potentially good shout as a veteran jungler who has had success in the past and even had, like, on that INTZ roster that almost made it. Like, he was a part of that, right? Like, he's part of that system.
Yep.
Are there any good supports in CD?
Damage went missing. Like, Reaper's been playing for Kaboom IDL. I don't know what happened to Damage.
We lost Damage.
He's free.
But he could have been also a good idea,
right?
as an experienced support who can step in and has performed, has placed highly many splits. In
CV low finalist.
Literally, yeah. So, was that
multiple times,
twice?
Yeah. 2 times, yeah.
So, every time he was a Trigo. Every single bloody time.
Yeah, so maybe one of those, if we find where Damage is, and maybe Yampy, like, you could make a short-term change to maybe try and elevate yourself into playoffs, perhaps, just sneak it in 6th, like, beat Lev if they don't change anything and stay checked out, and maybe you, like, trip up Red if they refuse to ever learn how to play the game, then maybe you sneak in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, you could beat Leviathan if Leviathan's being silly.
I'm assuming they beat Leviathan, to be honest. I think this roster beats Leviathan if we run the split back at this point. If we go back to the start and play it again, I think this one probably finishes 7th.
Wait, there are 2 names from City, actually, that would be really funny too.
Yeah.
Crastiel, support.
Oh my god.
Okay, Crastiel.
And there's one guy who could do both jungle, support, and coach. And after the way he just played this weekend, or his team just played this weekend, he might need a new job.
Is it Ranger?
Yep.
Okay. That's how we say Flux 2W7M, guys.
Oh my goodness.
It's Ranger.
And I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on with that Kaboom roster. Their macro has gone down the absolute crapper, and they have Ranger as coach and Wiz as jungler. It's illegal. I don't know what's going on there, but it'd be the funniest thing if Ranger came back up.
There we go. So that's how we say Fluxy, is we get Yampy in jungle and we get Ranger in support because Damage is MIA. That's how we solve Fluxy for summer. Though, to be honest, to save everybody the headache and the contract signings, probably just run it back for one more split and see where we go. Okay, for IE, taking the 2-0 and pretty confidently, pretty conclusively, they looked like a team that is decidedly better. They haven't looked like a team that's decidedly better than anyone for most of this year, or at least most of Split 2, I should say. That's unfair. Most of Split 2. So they're continuing to improve in terms of they clearly have a sense of macro and timings and movements on the map, which they've always been bubbling under the surface to my mind, but just completely kind of fell apart at the start of the split. Summit is, I wouldn't say he's summiting fully yet, but he's not like going 0-4 on Rumble every game, so we're certainly making moves in the right direction there.
Sure.
And Snaker and Ackerman, I think, actually had a very nice showing, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, we got
it's so freaking big.
Yeah,
it's so freaking bait. Snaker's playing Ashe and Senna, and I've said this before. Like from the very beginning of the year, I've said Snaker on supportive AD carries. That's what he excels best at.
That's what he should be doing. Yeah.
Surprise! You put him on Ashe, you put him on Senna, and what does he do? Not feed.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'm kind of with Trajan, right? It's like they're solid, but it's to your point, RMC. It's relative to kind of expectations, right? It's okay. You are finally doing what we thought you could, right? And let the rest of the team do the damage, right? Put Jose Deodo on a carry, right? Had a monster game on the carry. It can be right. It's like, oh, here's the formula that even like a bunch of jabronis on a podcast at the beginning of the split were like, would never actually see this iteration play, but we knew enough about the individual players to be like, this seems like a good strategy.
Yeah.
And then they just like spit and they just pissed in our cornflakes for like half a split, and then they were like, wait a minute, no, that was good. And they stopped peeing in our cornflakes. They put it back inside.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at win rates, and genuinely speaking, I think besides a single Jax game, I don't consider freaking Vi or Wukong like carry champions.
Well,
no. Like Wukong could be debatably, but I don't consider that.
No. Yeah.
You consider
but like
Lee Sin
literally, besides
Wukong and
Lee
Xin
Sin
Zhao are both like they're like fighters and they can carry games, but they're not carry champions. They're not.
Yeah, I guess I would.
Like
I would put Lee in there as well, just because he has like
he's interesting. I don't have an opinion. I could see both sides.
I put him in that same camp of like he's higher damage. He can. He has playmaking potential to carry games, but I don't think we call him a carry jungler. He's not Lilia. He's not.
Yeah, we don't call him a carry jungler, but he.
So besides one Jax game and one Pantheon game, every other carry game from Jose Deodo, or even just giving him more damage with champions like Wukong, like Lee Sin, and he wins them. Like guys, I don't understand this.
Give my man some skill expression for the love of God, please. And then you'll realize that he's really skilled, weirdly enough. Like, it does seem to have been that simple, kind of frustratingly. There is a little bit of, like, from what we've had the last few weeks of, are they good or did they just play Leviathan kind of question. It's, are they good or did they just beat Fluxu? You know?
Yeah.
Fluxu's not bad, and Fluxu will punish teams.
They're not pushovers anymore.
No, they're not. But, and that's why I think the games took 36 and 37 minutes, is because Fluxu aren't pushovers, but ultimately they did look better. They look a lot better. I was very excited to see Senna AD carry back. I think Senna AD carry is a way more interesting thing than Senna support, personally. Agreed. And like they've put the farming back up, so now it's even farming Senna. It's not even just fasting with like Nautilus or Trigath, which I think is cool in its own way, but just farming Senna plus normal support back for Snaker. And I think it's obviously a good fit for IE's team composition, and I think this has opened up a nice little avenue for them just in time for Best of 5 Fearless to run around. Now we've got another option down there for Snaker before he runs out of support champs, and
I knew what they were doing,
and then tries to play Draven, you know. So
I will add for Senna though that she is still flexible to the support role. Her enchanted build is still viable, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see specifically IE maybe like flex it around a little bit if need be. If the matchup's really bad for AD carry Senna, they could always drop its support.
Yeah, so that's cool. Happy for IE, happy for Jose for sure. And unfortunate commiserations for Fluxu W7M. We'll see you in summer. Hopefully we'll see you in the same form in summer, but we'll see what they do. That was day 1. Sunday rolls around and we have VKS versus Loud. Now this lined up pretty much with our expectations. VKS are the winners. 2-1 though, not the 2-0. And after that first game that Loud completely kind of stomped in, to be honest, they put on an amazing game 1. I think we were all very scared that playoffs is next week, but playoffs Loud may have arrived a week early here and was just going absolutely mental. And for that game, that was the best Tino's game I have seen in what feels like 3 years. I swear.
He was unbelievable.
Just crazy game from Tino's.
I mean, he has an Ari tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
He was showing it off after the game.
That was
Yeah.
perfect. A perfect ending there. Just catching just multiple team fights with multiple charms on multiple carries in them. Just the absolute most you can ever hope to do with Ari as the reason that you pick this champion was completely exceptional, and just an utter no notes game. Like just
Well,
okay.
The problem is,
you have a note?
I do have notes, and I do have concerns specifically because this felt a little bit like the whole up against W up against Fluxu W7M thing. And I know that's super crazy to say when you're up against Kate Stars, but game 1, Kissy looked very uncomfortable on the Vigar. Like the build was already one thing that we discussed.
Oh god, it was that game.
That was the catalyst build. Yeah, but more than that, it was just the way he was dropping the Event Horizon. His baby cages looked really awkwardly placed, and it felt like he was not taking into account the delay properly. So Loud just kept walking out of those zones of control, and as soon as it was down, Loud just re-engaged again anyways, because they didn't burn anything major on the first engage. So it felt a little bit to me like Kate Stars was trying things out, and then the way they closed out game 2 and game 3, that was more what I was expecting when I predicted 2-0, right? Like Kate Stars has an early game, Loud just doesn't have it. So part of me wonders how much of that is Kate Stars limit testing, and also how much of that is Loud not having a champion pool. Their champion puddle is getting exposed right now in best of 3s. What happens when we hit best of 5s? Do they have enough champions
it doesn't
for 3 games, much less 4 or 5?
Should be the case, because like we've seen them play well on more than enough champions, the best of 5 fearless. It's just that what used to be good picks for them suddenly look very, very weirdly, as you put for Kissy, like very uncomfortable in their hands. Like Robo's Camille looked absolutely washed for no good reason, right? Even his Nara didn't look that hot, like, which has been like a classic pick for Robo in the past. So we know that they should have a pool deep enough for this, but so I don't know if I can say like it's a pool issue in that I don't think they forgot how to play the champions, but their performance individually seems very volatile and very variable. And you know, you can be the best Camille player in the world, but if you don't know when to go in, I guess that's maybe part of being it. But like, you can have mechanics out the wazoo for Camille, but if you're going in 1v5 or you're getting caught in a side lane over and over, as Robo obviously will do, it doesn't matter. You can't do anything with it. Like, because even with the Camille game, we saw him do the right thing once at least. They had that one comeback fight where he gets on like a TP flank, gets right on top of the summonerless AD carry that they spent the last team fight taking the summoners off, and it's perfect and it all works out, right? And they're like, oh, they do know what to do. That's what you do. You do that. And then that was it. And they just went back to losing every fight and misplaying them, and they lost the game. I was like, okay, well, I guess we don't know what to do. Shoot, okay. So yeah, I think it showed us that I think Loud, despite the fact that they have returned to being old Loud in terms of the way that they win and their strengths as a team, that team was still imperfect. That team stopped winning championships, and it shows here that I think they do play way too fast and loose individually in terms of their individual decision making. Sometimes they just do wacky stuff that doesn't make any sense and like costs them gold and costs them side pressure and cost them position in the game that then good teams like VKS, when they're warmed up, I guess, will happily just sweep their feet out from under them. So I think this one, again, just felt like a very Loud series. Like, they put an amazing Loud game together. They had a 1v9 carry from one of their veteran players, and then they didn't do that. They didn't have a 1v9 carry from the other two. And I think their weaknesses just got exposed again in 2 and 3. Like,
well, kind of, on the bright side, they did meet their stated goal. They did get back to their old form, and now Grandpa, it's time to get to bed.
Yeah, so I mean, with that game from Tinones, if we can like start stringing more games like that together for playoffs Loud, then they will start beating anybody again. If they play like that again, more than one game per series, they're gonna start beating better teams than them again, which is dangerous. It's dangerous talk, right?
They still haven't showed us they can do more than one game. They blew like all their big picks in game 1, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So we need to be wary. Everyone needs to be wary that they might just show up in game 1 and do that. But you've got to be ready for that, because if you don't, they will. They've proven that they can carry the ball over the line, and their highs are now high enough, I think, that they'd beat anyone else in the league with a high like that. I don't think anyone would win that game, honestly. I think they just completely cracked themselves out. Even like the bot lane, with Root and Redbird on the Lucian Nami, which they're bringing out more and more. They were on the right page. You know, this was a he's so good game for Redbird. Like those are happening more often now. So I don't know. It's the right team won. VKS is the better team. They played better. Games 2 and 3, they played way better. They played the map way better. They have good hands. But Loud had that one game that's like, this is what we could do inside a single game. We can play games like this, and it's just a matter of how often they do it. And yeah, the Vigar build was really bad. I was saying to RMC before we went live, I personally am a believer that I don't think Vigar's build is that important for the champion being a success. Like,
you can play him you can play him tank, and it depends on what you put around him. But
the previous prevalent Vigar build was tank Vigar because it didn't matter because you still one-shot people with enough stacking. But the single catalyst is pretty goofy looking, and I think that building a Rod of Ages probably feels like it would have made more sense. Would it have saved him when he got caught by the 4th charm in a row? No, he'd still die. But I think that was a discomfort thing, less of a build thing, even if the build is a little funny looking.
And look, the thing is, I can justify the Catalyst of Aeon's build. I understand why they're doing it. Heck, K-Star's Academy did it in top lane and Gwen. Do we want to actually get into this?
I have no idea. Like,
okay, so basically, it's the cost of Catalyst versus Rod of Ages, and the fact that Rod of Ages puts you into a very weak one-item power spike. Yeah. If you just built the Catalyst, I think it's like 1,300 total gold. Yeah. And you're just picking it for the passive, basically. You want mana to be able to just infinitely sustain in lane, and then you're just farming, poking, wave clearing. That's it. And then you kind of speed to your second item, or to your first major item then, so that you can actually catch up. When you finish that first item power spike, then your team actually has the ability to fight. If you go into Rod of Ages, you complete that first item, you got to wait 10 more minutes. And by the time you hit the 10 more minutes, everybody's sort of on second item power spike. So in order to have that early window to fight for, grubs and potentially for second Drake and Herald, that's why you kind of just dip into the Catalyst first, and then you kind of skill up after that.
Is the health important here?
To a lesser extent. Again, you're tanky enough, but
it must be important, or you just buy tier, right? And do the same thing. If you just need free mana to then go straight into your normal item.
No, because tier is very combat inefficient. Like there's no combat stats, whereas the health at least gives you a bit more combat stat.
Yeah, the health
sustain that Catalyst gives you.
Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point?
Relevant, sure. Yeah, it's more cost effective than the tier is necessarily, because again, tier is just straight up. The other problem with tier 2 is you run into the same problem as the Rod of Ages, which is, again, you have to wait for Service and Embrace to really complete to kind of get that full value out of it.
Yeah, I used to buying tier and then going into your first item is something I used to do like on other mid laners, where it's just like I want to spam a lot of champions really hard, but I don't want to build a Seraphs because I think it sucks.
And with the Catalyst build as well, you want to do it when your team wants to fight early. And you want to be part of that early game team. If you've got a skilling team, the Catalyst build does not make sense. Then you might as well just go Rod of Ages at that point, because you're going for late anyhow. You're not worried about the 1 hour power spike. Kate Stars in this particular game had Cassante, Xinjiao, MF, and Rel around them, which means they did want early skirmishes. They wanted the level 6 power spike to play around. Cassante as well would get massively outskilled by Jax later, so they needed to get that early lead, which is hence why, again, they were looking for the 1.5 item power spike versus sort of the 2 item traditional power spike that we see from a Vigar.
There you go. Okay, so there is a justification for it. There is a reasoning, and then anyone who wants to do some maths about it can do some maths about it in the comments. That's fine. Ultimately, the other thing that I want to highlight from this series is, speaking of junglers that look a lot better when you give them carries finally, Dasamis picked Neferi and picked Nidalee and had a pair of banger games.
Yeah, the Nidalee.
Yeah,
good,
Nidalee.
I got real nervous when he picked that one.
We all got nervous when we saw that. We all got nervous.
I still hate that draft.
Yeah, with the Fiora Nidalee top jungle duo, you hate it.
Yep,
it's crazy, man. I can't believe that.
Zero setup. You're basically just saying I'm better with that top side.
Like I saw that,
and they were. They were.
God, they were right.
Yeah. Yep. I saw that into like standard front to back. Loud, Sejuani, Nautilus, Camille,
Astro Scalar
with
draft.
Cassio Corki behind them. I was like, bro, if you let them get to 25 minutes even, you are so dead. You're so donezo, man. But they didn't. They didn't let them get to 25 even. They actually managed to build a lead early and then play through it and win the game. So fair enough. Dasamis has an Italy. We must recognize. Okay.
And it's actually really huge too, because right now it's top lane Nidalee that's in meta.
Yes.
So this Samus having it means that they can flex it in a bad matchup, like what we saw, right? Like Robo picks the Camille and it's like, okay, that Nidalee doesn't answer well into that after level 6, and then they kind of just go, okay, then we'll pop him jungle.
Yeah, I'm willing to at least give Bol the benefit of the doubt at this stage, which is more than I would have given him 3 months ago.
He's earned it.
If he picks Nidalee top, I'm not going to assume that he's going to get absolutely mashed.
It's a carry. I think it fits his style.
Yeah, exactly. Last game of the weekend was Red versus Leviathan. And like, I mean, this was the most I think we thought this was going to happen. And there was a glimmer of hope that maybe Leviathan would have found some sort of second wind here after a few weeks of just being completely dead behind the eyes, and there was just nothing to be found, man. Just the split is over for them. It's been over for them for a couple of weeks, and now it's definitely over for them because they're out. 2-0 for Red, the quickest series of the week. Another sort of sub 1 hour total 2 games. Like, I don't know, man.
It didn't feel. Let me tell you, casting it like it was a quick series.
Yeah.
That was the longest sub 1 hour 2-0 I have ever been a part of. I've casted a lot of League of Legends in my life.
I was borderline glad for the audio issue. Because
it gave us something interesting to do. Yeah, exactly. God, that was rough, dude.
Oh, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I'm glad we can say that on the podcast. We can't say that on broadcast, obviously, but we can say that here on the podcast. Yeah. But that was terrible to watch. Like, I have been, Fuxi W7M look like a weaker team, and I am higher on them than I am on Leviathan. Leviathan just looked like they gave up and died. Like, they came into that last series as if they did not care and they were just here to collect a paycheck.
Yeah. And that's not what you want from a partner team. It's not what you want from one of the new entrants to the region, sadly. So, I mean, who knows what they're going to do, right? We'll see. I don't know if I even want them to...
They need a change, but I don't even know who you change on this roster. Because I look at the names and I'm like, the names are still fine. Like, Scary, Cody, CEO, Pro, heck, even Zothi, who I'm probably like the most down on this team. Yeah. I think he's fine. Like, I think he's had good performances this split.
Yeah.
He's shown enough.
Maybe it's a coach.
So it's like, what do you change here?
It's coaching, I guess. Ditch Vaughn.
Is he coaching for Leviathan?
It's Vaughn, who used to be from...
Oh, but Vaughn's good. I think he did Kaboom. He did... Wait, hold on.
What's his actual resume here?
He did Flamengo. He was Kaboom, and so he was actually the coach for Loud when they started their win spree for the first split.
Belsey wasn't,
and then after that, Belsey took over. Belsey took over after that, but Vaughn was like technically the one who got them the first win. So and then he was on the Mad Mexican, the 3G BKS.
Was he? I don't think he was. Maybe he was.
I think he was.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Yeah, and then CL to go after that. Yeah. Vaughn's coaching history is actually not bad. So like, again, I don't feel like. I don't know what's happening behind the scene necessarily for Leviathan, but
I mean, he's won.
The names are good.
With Infinity, with Snop as well, that he's brought with Leviathan here, but. I don't know, man. It's whatever is happening. It's just clearly like, as you say, the names are far above their play, and we've seen the individuals play at that high level again. It's like Loud, I guess, in that way. But like, if you can't get them to do that every game, what are we doing?
Heck, if you can't get them to do that for half their games,
for more than one game of split, then we're gonna need a little bit more out of them, perhaps, than this. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of sad. We thought that Fluxy would be the sad story, but ultimately Leviathan was, which is kind of a bummer.
Yep.
So it's nothing really we learned about Red either. They played their usual stuff. Like, Aegis still pulling the Maokai out when not many others will, but like FMB still just like stomping on carries when he can. Like, I don't know, they just weren't challenged at all today, so they just played their usual deal and walked away with the 2-0, and it's kind of that's that. So, let's take a quick look at Fantasy before we look at the next week.
Boy.
Luna Day. So, Luna Day is still on top, but the lead has been cut. Ray is only 3 points behind. So, some progress has been made. Dark Knight not far behind. RMC has snuck back into the top 5 there after I think you topped the league. You had the biggest points of anyone last week. Having sold yourself to LTA North.
I had a South player. FMB was on my roster.
South player. A South player. Oh, thank you, RMC.
I'm trying. Hey, I had Audi Land too. He was actually my disappointment of the week, but
yeah.
from the South. So this week too, I will keep one South player because I couldn't buy the entire FlyQuest roster.
Thank you for keeping one.
Couldn't buy the entire FlyQuest roster. Damn.
Yep.
And then Paradox hanging out in fourth. Paradox has been in fourth for a while. It's pretty lodged in there, that top four. But we'll see if Ray can
catching up, Paradox.
And yes, to be fair, catching up. So we will see. There's still plenty of playoffs, plenty of BO5 fearlesses to go. So a lot can happen in the next few weeks.
Okay, can I also just say,
yes.
I apologize, Bren. I truly did not know. I got baited by Lunar when she said you were no longer 10th. I thought you went up. That's why I put the emoji I did. I didn't know. As soon as I found it, I canceled it.
Important to
note.
Yeah,
Lunar deserves her 6th this week.
Yeah. Important to note for everyone that I am now last. Except for the guy with 0 points who has not locked a single player. Of anyone
it's because you're too broke to buy good players right now.
Yeah, I can't get anyone new. Like, they're all, because all the players that ended up at the bottom are like Lev players who only nosedived. And if I'm not dipping into LTA North, then I kind of have to go and snag some red players possibly, but I'd have to probably get rid of Furia players to do that, and I don't want to do that.
Wait, so Trajan, what happens after like
playoffs?
Right now you're like after teams start dropping in playoffs?
I don't know.
Do you have enough to upgrade your roster?
I presume they would take. I don't actually know. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll see if there's some sort of provision here that can give me some sort of.
Surely they thought this through, right?
If I can get a bailout from the fantasy government, please.
Of course, the UK got me asking for a bailout.
The Bank of House is failing on all fronts. The stocks are down, everybody. They just lost in CD. The stocks are very down in the Madhouse. Yeah, we will see if there's a way I can. Well, I have to drop the Leviathan players one way or another, so I'm gonna have to do some calculations. Maybe rebuild my house. But we'll see what we can do there. Okay, schedule for this week. Now, this is, as far as we could tell, this is the accurate bracket in terms of which losers go where, which is the point of contention in the Discord. So we have Pain and Loud.
That's also the only thing that makes like the 3-4 seed matter. I still haven't like totally gotten my head around this. Like I woke up this morning and I was like, it still doesn't make sense to me.
So did
that was
Pain
my first
actually pick Loud?
They did. That I know.
Because they were the fourth seed.
No. So basically, they tried to give every single match weight. So first seed gets to choose their opponent. Hence, first, second, the top two, match. That's their sort of benefit. 5 and 6 were elimination matches, right? So that obviously mattered. And then the third place match, in order to give it weight, because if not, there'd be no weight. You don't get a pick and whatnot.
Yeah.
The winner of that decides who they face in the lower bracket. So. Yeah,
how do you determine who's the 5 and the 6 from Red Resurus?
Oh, that was a whole tiebreaker from the positioning phase.
This is determined from positioning phase from regular season?
Yeah, it was based on head-to-head, not even like your standings in the positioning. It was just straight up head-to-head. So, yeah.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I actually had to properly read the rulebook for a change instead of just like skipping through Leaguepedia, because there's a lot of weird tiebreaker situations.
Interesting.
I find it fun, but I know it's weird. But yeah, because of that, the third place match actually mattered, and that's why Fury Arcade, the loser of that, will be facing Red, and Pain Loud, the loser of that, will face Isurus Astral.
Okay, because Isurus Astral is lower seeded than Red, or other way around. Other way around.
Yeah.
No, Pain and Loud should be playing. I guess it depends who the lower. So it doesn't matter who the lower seed is from who loses.
It again, it does from the seeding from the group stage, I believe.
Whatever. To be honest,
because no. So that's funny because remember who Isurus Astral's only win was against. It It was freaking Red Canids.
Oh, was it?
That's why this makes no sense, but it happened. Where Istres Eshral is considered the higher seed there.
Fine. Right. Okay. Okay. Now I get it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the tiebreaker thing
So
that made no sense.
upper bracket matches. We have all 4 of these first round matches are happening, I believe.
Yep.
So I believe it's happening. So we'll have presumably Pain, Loud, and Furia Vivocade on the first day, and then the eliminations on the second day.
No, I think.
Wait, no, it's not 2 best of 5.
No, they're best of 5, single best of 5.
Yeah, one best of 5.
So this weekend,
so it's upper bracket this
so
week.
So this weekend is just Pain, Loud on Saturday.
Yeah.
Furia, Kate Stars on Sunday.
Upper bracket this week, lower bracket next week. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Pain, Loud. The classic. Now, we've just hit playoffs. We've just seen at least one game of playoffs, Loud. And RMC, you're not even convinced Pain are good at League anymore, by the sound of it. So...
For anyone that's just listening on audio, RMC literally, like we are the boomers of the broadcast team, he clutched his heart. Like a cartoon man having a heart attack.
Yeah. Preempting.
He leaned back in his chair and clutched his left chest.
The inevitable Game 4 heart attack when Loud upsets Pain to keep the series alive and push to 5 games.
It's just the Pain TSD.
Pain will win, man. Pain will win, but this is gonna get. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is gonna get ugly. So this is the problem. I think there are 2 guaranteed sort of matches this week for LTA Fantasy Points, and it's FlyQuest versus Shopify Rebellion and Pain versus Loud.
Yeah.
But the problem is Pain versus Loud. First of all, I still have Pain TSD from the duration where Pain just could not win to save their life against Loud. That's over. That's done. By any metric, by any statistic you look at in recent years, Pain should crush Loud. But freaking Robo and Tinones gets a really weird anti-Pain buff. Every time they go up against them, expect them to actually do well. I want to see Jax perma-banned by Pain if they're not first picking it.
Because if not...
Yeah, Robo's going to 1v5. He might not win that game, but he's going to 1v5 at least one of those fights with that Jax. Yeah. And Pain too, Pain randomly stumbles against Loud. So because of that, on paper, 3-0, no question.
Yeah.
My prediction would be closer to 3-1. I think Loud picks up one game where they get all their power picks, and Pain just craps all over themselves because it's freaking Loud for some odd reason. Mm-hmm. And even the wins from Pain, I'm not expecting crushing wins. I'm expecting
they're gonna be kind of sus.
Goal charts where they're gonna throw.
Sure. So are you taking 3-1?
I'm taking 3-1.
4-4?
I'll take 3-1 as well.
I'm gonna take
3-1 seems good.
I'm not going to buy into Loud's propaganda. I'm not going to buy into this. I'm not going to just sit by and let them get away with it again. I'm not going to sit and validate them. No. 3-0 Pain. Loud, you suck. Lose 3-0. Okay? I'm not having it. I'm not having it this year. Right?
Oh my goodness.
We've had enough.
Is there a name 4x4 for haters? You know how there's a Zetchi, Loud Zetchi, Pain Zetchi? Is there the equivalent for haters?
The Loud haters.
That's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
You need to create the term.
Chat, if y'all can just comment below if there is some sort of term in Brazil you'll use
for the Loud haters fan club so I can be the first member. Okay. So generally speaking, we are Pain heads though. Furia VKS, and now we have perhaps a more interesting decision to make here, because VKS, besides the game that Loud completely just went nuts on them, they continue to show active improvement, I would say, in terms of their approach to strategy in the game. Their hands are starting to show a little bit more, which is good. Like I said, we had big games out of Samus. Bowl is still performing very well. Morteus continues to do well. The lane is still pretty sus in my opinion, but he's as a carry, he's great. Trimby is clearly doing some good leadership decision making. And Kissy, if we just pick him, normal champs, he's good. So against Furia, as I said, given the sort of mixed bag that we've had from Furia, not quite looked as dominant as it looked like they were maybe going to be. They're still very, very good, but they didn't manage to round out the group stage as perfectly as we would have liked, perhaps. 404, Furia VKS. Where's your heart leaning here?
I mean, it's leaning Furia 2-1. They're just a little more. They seem a little more consistent, a little more well-rounded. Maybe that's not a hot take, but this series could go any way. If Cade took this one,
perhaps even
it could. Oh, I think it could.
Yeah.
I think that would be an absolute dandy.
That, yeah.
I think that would be an absolute treat. This is the most fun. Actually, it's tough to compete with Payne Loud. Payne Loud is going to get better viewership. It's going to do better numbers.
But is it going to be good?
Maybe not on our channel. Maybe because
actually don't know. Yeah.
We've educated our viewer base to be like, look, this is the actual good game. But like, just I bet on the CBLOL official stream and on like Biono, like the Librados Lendas, like. I think Loud Pain is going to do better numbers, but this is going to be a more fun and interesting game with like. Yeah. I think you're going to see like wackier picks as well. I think if that's another reason I want this to go 5. Yes, I want 5 games between these two teams, but I think if this does go to game 5, you are going to get some absolute humdingers. I say, picks in game 5.
Yep. I mean, both these teams they have such eclectic champion pools. Like they're willing to do stuff. Like we talked about KC. Like you're saying play standard. I don't think he will. Not by the time game 5 rolls around. Like expect to see like the Vladimir.
The most standard he's going to do in game 5 is like Akali.
Yeah. To be honest.
Yeah. And that's if Tuts didn't steal it away from him, right? And then Tuts is like an 80 carry mid laner.
Yeah, both mid laners
and Draven.
No, I think that's a great shot. I think the mid lane especially is going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah. Jungle could be fun too. Tatu can get wild. Oh man, I want to see what Gigo's got in that top lane chat pool. Gigo cooks sometimes, so it's gonna be super fun. Actually, this weekend is probably like the best cardio weekend for just watching games. Because Loud and Pain are gonna get my heart racing just because I'm a Pain actually. But Furia Kate might actually give it a run for its money. Like I am.
Yeah, I think these fights are gonna be crazy. Yeah. I think we're gonna actually see them. It's not necessarily going to be like it's not going to be a 15 kills in 15 minutes kind of games, I think, but there's not going to be nothing happening because neither of these teams play where nothing happens anymore. VKS used to play like with nothing happening, but they don't do that anymore. They've actively swayed away, and Furia have always been very much, there's always something going on. They're either playing for a dive or a pick or an objective or a tower or a split push or whatever. There's always something happening on the map, and they're both like that. Yeah. So there's going to be clashes where they're both trying to always be pushing for something, which is going to be cool.
Who's got that game, actually? Oh, you have a Trajan. Nice.
Okay, Trajan W.
Let's go. Yeah, okay. that one's going to be...
Who's on Pain Loud? Who gets the suffer through Pain Loud? Who gets the what? Oh,
two Pain Zachis are getting it.
Yeah, nice. Okay, good. That is good. So
yeah, I wish I was here this weekend. I'm unfortunately the guy who was the best man at my wedding is getting married, so I'm gonna be over there.
Yeah,
but I will try to tune into these because it's gonna be a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time on public transportation this weekend. I'm gonna see if I can align it so that I'll be on the trains and watching this.
Hopefully, it will be a chance. This will be our first Sophcast of this.
True. Yeah.
Split year, maybe.
Yeah, of the split.
He's been busy this year. Yeah,
split at least, but like maybe Soph will be gifted with some good karaoke gameplay, which she has been wanting for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is the time to get some right now. So.
Yep.
Okay, so predictions, folks. Actual.
Christian, what's your prediction for Furia?
3-1 Furia.
I am. Both of you on Furia. You know what? I'm going to give mine to Kate Stars. I'll give it 3-2 to Kate Stars. Just for balance. Because I do really think this one's incredibly evenly matched. Like, I love Furia, don't get me wrong. I've said it time and time again. I love Think Carter's coach, and I love this roster. Tatu, my GOAT. But I want to give Kate Stars a fair shake, because I think Kate Stars playing incredibly well as well. This one, to me, is really a battle of the coaches, Think Carter and CL.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll give it 3-2 to Kate.
4-4.
I'll say 3-2 for you. But it could be 3-1 either way. It could be 3-2 either way. But this I'd be stunned if this was 3-0.
Yeah,
but I think Furia are just slightly better. I think they're a little more seasoned. I think they'll get it done.
I think this is
and even though they have a rookie jungler, Tatu's not playing like a rookie jungler, man. He plays with all the confidence and looseness in the world, man. He is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be better for Furia's bot lane. I think it's going to be fun and close in the mid lane. And I mean, top lanes, I think Gigo's going to do the same thing he did before, which is die a lot and then be good anyway. So
I actually low-key think Morteus and Tribute might actually beat Jojo.
I think you are smoking something, brother. I think
that's why I'm kind of actually willing to give it to Kate a bit. Morteus has been a statistical monster. I think people are just sleeping on him because he's not popping off to the eye test. But Morteus gets the job done, man.
But when? When does he get the job done?
Every game. Like, I don't think he's had like a bad game.
I don't think he does. I don't think he gets it done the first
15
minutes.
But does IU get it done in the last 15?
Mostly, yeah. He didn't last week. I'll give you that. He definitely didn't last week. He did not get anything done last week.
Fair enough. What's that copy pasta about recency bias?
Yeah, I've just heard of this new thing. Yeah.
I'm just saying Morteus did more than I did last week.
I mean, so true, brother, so true. Okay, with that, we're actually about to land slap bang on 1 hour. So let's quickly get into the mailbag, and then we can be close enough to the schedule that eventually we'll hold to. First question from Luna Day is a take, I believe. I can't believe nobody saw the 4D chess IE was playing. Their one win in the placement stage was the only win they needed beyond the series winning groups and elimination seeding. They have given absolutely nothing to other teams and slipped it into the higher, lower bracket seed. That's anime villain level planning. I love it. Now, if they do end up continuing to improve at this rate, it is going to look incredibly planned because they are going to actually beat people in the lower bracket, in my opinion. Who else is in the lower bracket, right? Red is the other person there. I think they would beat Red right now.
Yeah,
I would probably.
That's assuming they each beat their opponents.
Yeah, right. So they get to play. I think according to this, well, let me get the schedule back up. So they're going to play against, presumably Loud.
Probably Loud.
So presumably Loud, and
But to give context, this is why Luna's saying they're playing 4D chess because the one win they had was over Red, which then puts IE as higher seed.
Give them a higher seeding,
which is why they get loud.
So they can get Loud, which is the easiest opponent of the four by far. Besides, if we put playoffs Magic to the side, which I personally am.
Yes.
And then they get to play Red or I guess VKS or Furia.
Yeah, the loser of Furia K-Star is the winner of the loser of that.
So they're probably not playing Red in the next round, let's be honest. But if they do, then like I say, if they keep improving at this rate, that's a far from impossible feat to win again, and then you're like a win away from Grants, right? Like you're in the losers final at that point, and then you're already playing for another split title, despite the way they started, which is ridiculous to imagine. But also,
if they do that,
possible.
that's not anime villain level anymore. That's anime protagonist level at that point. They make it all the way there.
Because it's losers bracket, they will morph into anime protagonist, I think. If they recover this split from the depths that they started at, like Jose Diodo is ultimate anime protagonist again. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it for sure.
It's too disgusting. I refuse to believe this is planned.
I refuse to believe that Snaker will win this split, but maybe he will.
That would be. I hate to say it, but I would hate that.
Dude,
I would hate
hating so hard for weeks on him, and we will hate it even more.
Yeah, in like one of the best bot lane regions in the world. Come on, man.
No, and not even about Snaker and Ackerman. Just like if this team, after all the bullshit they have pulled,
Birdle saga, and
if they won, burn it all down. Undo the merger / like I like seriously burn it all down. If we like LA get your league back. Honestly, split Brazil into Brazil North and Brazil South and feed it into Latin. Bring back Renzga.
Yeah, do it. Oh dear.
If IE win this split, dude, Brazil has there's going to be a nuclear meltdown. If IE win this split, dude.
Yeah, Honda's gonna leave Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Come on now.
And with that,
come on now. Right, let's go to the last question. Lunar Day. I think this is an actual question. This is a nice sort of thought experiment that we get from us sometimes. This upcoming weekend is what is called the Racing Trifecta, with 3 of the biggest racing events on the calendar. The Monaco Grand Prix from F1, the Indianapolis 500, and the Coca-Cola 600 of NASCAR. What would be your trifecta of best of 5 matches? You could sit down and do nothing but watch. Teams can be from any region and play anyone from any other region. Note, T1 must be in match 2 as the IndyCar bends the rules for the owner's race team, similar to how Riot shifts mares to make T1 relevant. Nice little jab past in there. That's fair enough. The second one can be T1.
I was gonna say we didn't get like this was like the most words without sarcasm from Lunar Day we got until that very last line.
So I can pick my match 2 to get T1 out of the way first. Is I would watch T1 DRX from the World's 23 finals
So it can be just any
we go
game,
back?
anytime.
So I'm assuming it can be. I've not been.
If we can go back in time, it's that, and
I
then
will just put those 5 players
SKT
together
rocks.
in a team. And
Yo,
do that.
deep cut though. Like I would actually want to watch Moscow 5 versus CLG EU again.
Oh, that's a good call. That's a good call.
Damn.
Yeah.
I would go. Yeah, I think to feel the emotions that I felt, I would do like one of the old TSM CLG finals, because that really felt like the or just like one of those like mid 2010s TSM finals that always went to like 5 games, and
TSM
like
C9 one was one that really sticks for me. Where
that was good.
with
it
sucks that this is the way I remember this series, but the one where Jensen blows it in game 5, or is it game 4? I mean game 4.
Because like that really felt like peak LCS.
That was peak LCS for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be one of mine.
Someone did like a poll on socials like not long ago that was like best of 5 ever in league, like best league best of 5, and they revealed the answers at the end of it, and it had all the usual ones like SKT Rocks and
versus Rocks,
T1 DRX, and it had T1 BLG in it, like just like last year's Worlds finals, and that won by like a solid margin. And all of the old heads had a meltdown. It was so
that is
funny.
actually recency bias.
And look, that was a really good series.
Yeah, it is wrong,
but it wasn't the greatest,
right? It is wrong, to be clear.
Objectively wrong, yeah.
At this point, I am starting to get like, what's the word? Like, we're like just being contradictory for the sake of it. Contrarian. Well, I was getting like contrarian reaction of low key and now getting high key. I think that SKT Rocks fans need to let it go. I think that T1 DRX is a much more exciting series than that. Is a much better series than that was.
I see what you're saying.
I think it had better juice narratively, and I think it was as exciting to watch minute to minute.
I think narratively, I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
I think like here's I think how I'd put it. And I don't even know if I fully believe this, but this is just kind of making it up on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
I think SKT Rocks, there were higher individual points.
Yeah.
There were like the holy shit moments from that 2016 series were holy string of expletives jumping up and down, like, oh my god, what is going on? This is actually working. Oh my god, like this is a core memory that I have. But I think DRX T1 was like 5 games of like 8 or 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? If it didn't hit a 10, if the peaks from SKT Rocks were 10s, then to me T1 DRX didn't hit 10s, but it never went below an 8.
So for me,
and like you said, the context coming into it
T1
had
DRX
me locked in.
Yeah, I think.
And also, I got to watch that live because it was in the US.
Yeah,
so I was in the building for that one.
Yeah.
That was
I think T1
really
DRX
sick.
hit 10 when Guma steals Baron with Varus. I think
That
that's
was
when
hot.
it hit 10.
Yep.
That was hot.
Yep.
Maybe,
fair.
but like there's like because T1 SKT Rocks had like the Prey Ash Hour, right? Like the map wide.
Yeah. The cancel.
Ash Hour on TP, which also like is one of, if not maybe even the
what. That's a top 3 league moment all time, no doubt.
All time,
no doubt.
Yep.
Top 3.
RMC. What
that was literally game defining. No, I agree with that, but I think the other thing that we need to put in context too is what at that time, like we look back at the SKT Rocks one and we go like, okay, those moments are really highlights, but there have been other people who have done similar things. But at that time, some of those individual plays was the first time anybody had seen some of those things happen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
what's
super
also
high
kind of
bars.
crazy with that SKT Rock series? All of the amazing moments from that series I remember are from Rocks. They lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost.
Well, no, T1 had some amazing moments too, and then how they actually played that, like the individual fighting, and that's why I think a lot of people.
I guess, but the prey arrow, and then like the goofy picks in the bot lane, right? That's what you like. You know, if you ask like anybody, like,
but the goofy picks don't. The goofy picks matter because T1's winning. T1's the stronger side.
Yeah. So T1 are like the favorites, and like they're not like Goliath to David. It's not that much of a difference, but like they are they're playing the game exceptionally well, and they look like the best, but then like the team that is supposed to lose is like cracking them and forcing the series to go to 5. And like it's not like a Albus Nox Luna versus Korean team upset kind of thing, but it's like a
Sure.
it has that element to it of like they're finding ways to break the game to beat them.
From that perspective, I was surprised that, because I remember this poll now. I'm surprised that SKT Misfits wasn't an option.
I think it was, but it was low down. I think it was low down.
Really?
Or maybe that was just people in the comments being like, "Where is it?"
Most likely, that's just really high for like
also,
Europeans. But
I think that's also a great shout.
That was Blitzcrank, man.
We had Fervor Battle Leona level 1 solo kill, not solo kill, level 1.
That was the most like
kill.
defined like that Ardent Sensor meta was so AIDS,
and they did
and like they
Battle Leona
almost beat the best. Yeah.
Here's the problem. No self-respecting NA person is going to pick that particular series.
I'm not a self-respecting NA person.
No, he's
you're from LTA South.
Yeah, like anyone from LA, I don't actually like myself. Also, I don't actually like my region.
Yeah. So
fair enough. Yeah. I don't know, like that's why to me, like I think back to kind of like what you're saying at first for like the old like TSM COG matchups, stuff like that. Like to me, those will always hold a special place because at that time, like everything was new, right? And so some of the matches were like insane. Like the
we
COG
were younger and full of hope. That was 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
More than 10 years. We're season 15, 14, 15, 14.
No, I mean, like if you're talking like 2017 TSM, it's not that, but like
Sure, yeah. I'm like I said CLG EU Moscow 5, like the longest game, like 60+ minute game, right? Like that was literally just defining at that time. And people now, if they watch that game, will probably just be like, I'm falling asleep, I want to blow my brains out. But at that time, it was like G-Man and
Joe Miller.
Joe Miller, thank you. Yeah, like they were thought out losing their voices because nobody expected.
Don't call me Joe Miller. Yeah. Joe Miller.
Joe, Joe. Don't call me Joe. Joe Miller.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. He did some weird stuff after. So that cast still really solid. But he's gone.
Supported by this podcast. Not a friend of the podcast, or
no, not a friend of the show
of women. I in terms of like. So like best of 5 matches to sit down, do nothing but watch. For me is probably like SKT Rocks, T1 DRX, and SKT Misfits. But like if it's just like picking teams that you could watch play each other for forever, if it's current ones, I'd probably my number one would be like I'd put like Hamwell Life versus BLG or something, and I just let them play best of 5s in front of me all day. Because I think like Peanut and Zeka and Zeus are just like the hypest dudes in the game, especially Zeka. I think Zeka is like my favorite mid laner now. Maybe Showmaker.
I'm so glad that he like when he went over from DRX. When he went over from DRX, that screamed overperformed and got a huge bag out of it, and he's going to flop disastrously in 2023. And 2023 wasn't amazing, but he is now one of the better mids in the game, and that's incredibly sick.
Yeah.
And I love that he's like kind of big. He's kind of bulky, and like a lot of the big like Korean legends are literally like the sort of casual meme with like the tiny stick arms and stuff. That are, like, was that MLXG? I think what the original picture is of. But like, he's like kind of a big dude. He's kind of
Zeka's a tree dude.
He's kind of imposing, and he plays like a Kali and 1v5s. It's sick, man. I like Zeka.
Wait, so Trajan, you said T1 versus
SKT Rocks.
Who's there?
T1 DRX and T1 Misfits.
Okay.
Or SKT.
No, I mean like now.
Now
like
I'd probably pick Hammer Life BLG. I'd have them run BO5s, best of 5s.
Okay, that's fair.
All day.
I'd take Hanwha BLG, sure. I'm not watching as much Eastern League as I normally do, but then maybe Furia Pain. Just smash them into each other repeatedly. I think not because of the highest quality League of Legends, but because I know the most about those teams, and I'm like looking for like
the importance of it and how it works, and you can see that play out. It's kind of satisfying.
Yeah, and I don't even know if like Furia would win one best of 5 every whatever, but like I think Pain would, they're the better, more consistent team. So that's the part of me that's hesitating on that is like, would we get a different outcome over a best of 5 than a Pain win? But
why not just make it Pain loud and just run Pain loud forever?
That's not fun anymore. That's not fun, dude. If it would 2023, sure. Injected in my eyeballs, but now
maybe if we run it enough times, they'll beat them for Pain. Like maybe
they should have won, and then it just single Kalista. I'm so scared by that.
Yeah.
They just
No,
had another
exactly.
carry besides
think,
solo
like,
freaking Titan
I
Kalista.
think like Furia versus TL could be fun or something like that, or Pain versus TL maybe, like one of those top two teams, because I think TL is quite a fun team to
Hope so.
watch and draft
Yeah.
against and play against. I don't think FlyQuest is that exciting. Whippo's quite exciting because he plays Volibear, which is cool, but like as a team, I don't find them as
let's keep
interesting
going.
recently. Like, and I also think they're too much. They're better. I think they're too much better than the LTA South team, so I don't think it'd be fun. But like, I think TL are inconsistent enough, and they're also interesting enough, and they're very scrappy, and they fight all the time, and like Brazil can get down with that. Like, if you got Pain and TL, like you can watch them fist fight for like all day. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. No, that's true. I'd like to see TL with Yuji up against Furia, actually.
Yeah.
Because Tatu and Yuji feel like they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
That jungle
That'd be
matchup
fun.
would be wild. That said, I don't know what it says about me as a color caster that I don't have a single LCK or LPL matchup that I really want to keep watching. Like, yeah, okay, PLG Hanwha Life makes sense, but I think I left the narratives a bit too much. So for me, Furia Cade Stars, I think is even more than Furia Pain, because I think that Cade and Furia are closely matched, so that should be more fun.
It's similar energy.
Yeah.
Fly versus TL with Yuji, because Yuji went wild last week. Amazing, fantastic debut. And this might come as a surprise to some of you all. I do actually watch LCP. I've always loved Southeast Asia. That's my technically home region. And Talon versus Gam is freaking hilarious.
I bet
so, yeah, their socials go wild too. So,
Hell yeah.
it is.
that particular matchup was super. I think they just played last week, right? Or this last weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's super funny. Did they play this? Yeah, they did. It was on the Sunday. Yeah, they played. That series was hilarious. I want to see more Talon versus Gam.
That sounds good, to be honest. And like, given how well LCP did it first stand, I think that's hype, which gives them some representation. Yeah, I could take Talon, Gam, Hanwha Life, BOG, and Pain Team Liquid. I'll watch them play. That's my best of fives.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
With that, we're gonna wrap it up here because we had a nice discussion here, but I need to head out because I have to meet some friendos. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, RMC404, for joining me. As always, please, everybody, follow us on the Twitter, on the Twitch. If you like what we're doing, we're fully voluntary-led. You can join our community Discord, talk to us about the games, talk to us about the league, talk to us about fantasy, talk to us about anything. And if you like what we're doing and support us on Twitch, you can follow and maybe even subscribe if you have the money and the wherewithal to do so. We would very much appreciate it. And we'll be back this Saturday and Sunday for more... almost said CBLOL. More LTA South, and it's playoffs starting this weekend, so you do not want to miss it. We've got some hype matchups, and best of 5 fearlesses with LTA South players. What could go wrong, you know? Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you this weekend. Bye!
Everybody.